Game Day Kickoff, presented by McDonald's.
The AFC Player of the Month, Deshaun Watson there. Now he's in the MVP conversation.
What?
I know, I think so. I think he's in the mix now. On the other side, Gardner Minshew. He doesn't have to deal with J.J. Watt today, so that's good news for him. Of course, Jadeveon Clowney also gone from that pass rush, so maybe it'll be a good day for Minshew. And the fans, they're just really excited.
Okay.
Wow, they are wearing amazing outfits. Oh, my goodness.
A lot of Jag fans.
Those cheetah suits are very on trend.
You think that was a custom?
It's a jaguar, not a cheetah. It's a jaguar. Listen, sometimes I get my patterns mixed up, and it's really early in the morning, so get off my back. Hey, everybody, welcome into Game Day Kickoff. I'm Colleen Wolfe with Steve Smith Sr. and Willie McGinnis. Of course, we also have MJD, who's in London. I don't know if he's coming back. Is your family concerned at this point? You've been gone for weeks.
Colleen, you know what? I am coming back. I'll see you on Monday next week, but I'll be back. I'm flying back tomorrow, so it's been fun. It's been fun. I've enjoyed it, but it's time to go home and go back to reality.
Well, we're glad you're coming back. I can't wait to see you on Monday for a Monday night post-game show, Total Access Endgame. I know, I think he is. London is amazing. It's so much fun. But let's take a look at the playoff picture right now. The Colts on top in the AFC South, the number 2 seed currently. Jacksonville is close, the 7 seed, just on the outside, and the Texans holding on to that last wild card spot, but they'll be without J.J. Watt the rest of the way. So, such a huge part of their defense. Watt, 264 quarterback hits since 2011. Von Miller, the next closest, has nearly 60 fewer. But unfortunately, this is nothing new. He'll finish the season on IR for the 3rd time in the last 4 seasons. And without Watt, the Texans are just 9-15. So it's a big loss. We'll get back to MJD in a second. But Willie, what does Watt's injury mean for this Texans defense as they go forward?
Well, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Whenever you are missing one of the best players, not only on your team, but in the league, it's devastating. So you got to find ways around it. And unfortunately, they've been accustomed to playing without J.J. Watt just because of the board you showed and the injury history that he's had. But what Romeo Crennel has to do, who is a veteran play caller, the defensive coordinator for the Texans, he has to find different ways. Usually, like I said before, Jadeveon Clowney was there. He picked up some of the slack. Whitney Merciless, Cunningham, McKinney. You got other really good players on that Texas defense that you can maneuver with. But when you don't have a J.J. Watt, where an offensive line or OC has the game plan for, a lot of that attention goes to guys like this now, Whitney Merciless. There's no Clowney. We don't have to worry about him. How are you going to generate that pass rush? How are you going to put guys in certain positions? Well, Romeo Crennel's going to have to figure that out. It's a big blow for this defense. It is devastating. You don't have them. But guess what? You're used to not having him because of the injury history.
And they have guys like DJ Reader who are versatile, Barkevious Mingo, but ultimately...
But they're not J.J. Watt.
No.
Correct.
Yeah, you can't have more guys on the field to make up for his absence. So ultimately, that just exposes the secondary that's already been sort of problematic. Yeah. But it is interesting that for a team that's made so many moves the last couple months, they were content with the guys that they had at the trade deadline.
So
now,
they say.
They fired their GM before the season, and Bill O'Brien hasn't been shy about shaking things up, trading away 2 first-rounders and several other picks. But they have brought in some nice pieces. Addressed the O-line with Laramie Tunsil, a couple running backs, plus Kenny Stills and Garyon Conley. So they've been making some moves here. MJD, the biggest of those moves, Laramie Tunsil, he is out today against a really tough Jags front four. So how does this change things for Houston?
Yeah, you know, Deshaun Watson has been Michael Jordan, as Dabo Swinney said, and he's shown that. He's played lights out. He's been clutch. We hear all the stats that he's lost only games with having the last possession and all those different things. Without Laramie Tunsil, going against this Jaguars pass rush is going to be pretty mighty. I mean, I think he's going to have to end up being Superman. He's going to have to take this role on. Those receivers like DeAndre Hopkins is going to have to show up. The running game is going to have to be strong. And if they can't do that, it's not going to be a good day for the Texans. I don't know if I'm going to be here when we do our predictions in the game and all that. So I'm going to do it now for you. Because Tunsil is out, I say it's not even going to be close, guys. I'm thinking 44
who's he
to 7.
picking?
Jags. The Jags, 44-7.
Oh, that's
the same thing they did to
He said
Baltimore a couple years ago.
That's what he said.
Wait, what? Give us your score again.
44-7?
Did you eat too many
44-7.
Did you eat too many macaroons again?
Do I need to get closer to the camera and look you in your eyes, Steve? Huh?
I'm glad you had a single shot out there.
Hey, when you get back to America, straighten up your hairline because it's crooked. You having them cut you in London.
Hey, Steve, quit hating again. You hating again.
I'm bald. I don't have a hairline.
All right, get out of here. We'll talk to you in a little bit.
Yeah, it's crooked.
44-7.
Right, I'll see you guys later.
Okay, so no Laramie Tunsil.
That's big. Whew. That's huge because when you talk about Deshaun Watson and all the guys around him, you talk about Bill O'Brien, how many guys he acquired, and he's shaking things up. You can shake things up all you want. You can add running backs. You can add wide receivers. But you have to protect your most important asset, and that is Deshaun Watson. And having the absence of Laramie Tunsil is not a really good thing. You see the bruise on his cheek, his eyes swollen. You know, he's a mobile quarterback. He likes to get out there and shake things up. But stability in that offensive line is key for them. When you talk about the Houston Texans, since they've been in their inception, sacks have always been an issue. Our co-worker here, Derek Carr, just all of those, David Carr, those different guys, you got to have stability in the offensive line. Without that, it doesn't matter what acquisitions you get out in the perimeter with wide receivers and running backs.
Yeah, and you think back to week 2, that was Deshaun Watson's worst game of the season. And now, without Laramie Tunsil, just a little concerning at this point against that Jaguars pass rush. Yeah. But speaking of all of those moves that we kind of just talked about here, James Palmer is back with us. So when will the Texans finally figure out what they're doing with the GM position? What's the plan there?
Well, Colleen, right now, I think you have to look at where they stand and what they've been doing of late. You guys mentioned all of the moves. Don't be surprised with what's in place in Houston right now is still in place during the 2020 draft. It's Bill O'Brien, it's Jack Easterby, who they outbid several teams for his services to bring him from New England down into Houston, who's close with Bill O'Brien, and Chris Olsen, who's also part of that, who has been in Houston for 13 seasons. You have to look at it from two perspectives. One, if it's not broke, why try to fix it? If they like what they're doing and how they're operating, they may opt to continue to do it in the manner in which they are. And the second being, whoever's walking in has to know they don't have a lot of picks. You don't have a first-round pick next year. You don't have the first-round pick the following year. But what the group that is in place right now, I can tell you, Colleen, is very happy with what they've surrounded in Deshaun Watson, who you guys obviously know is the future of this franchise. They love Laramie Tunsil, and they absolutely love Titus Howard at that other tackle spot that they drafted. If they feel like they're putting the right pieces in place around Deshaun Watson, perhaps things stay the same in Houston moving forward.
Yeah, they've been aggressive, making all sorts of money moves there for Deshaun Watson. So, James, something to keep an eye on. Thank you, my friend. All right, let's get back to the game today. Do a little pick six with Cynthia Freeland. All right, your projections. You have a bunch of them for us at this point. So I want to start with Deshaun Watson, who we were just talking about.
So these do factor in no Laramie Tunsil, not expected to play, but if he does, they'll switch a little bit. However, Deshaun Watson is who we're starting with here. More rushing yards considering there's no Laramie Tunsil. So before it was 39, and that went all the way up to 58, more like 60 rushing yards because he's going to be scrambling out there without that left tackle. Still quarterback number one in terms of fantasy projections, though.
Okay, fair enough. What about DeAndre Hopkins, his number one dude?
Yeah, so this one went down a little bit. 7 receptions, 84 yards, and the touchdown. A.J. Boye is a problem, and A.J. Boye figures to be a big problem for DeAndre Hopkins. However, now he's wide receiver number 3. He will see that shadow coverage, like I said. It does give it a good opportunity for like a Will Fuller if you're looking for another fantasy option that could be a good high upside person.
Maybe he brought some wishes from the lamp that he had from the genie costume. Who knows? Maybe we'll see that on the field.
All of them.
On the flip side, Gardner Minshew right now. So are your models still enjoying Minshew Mania?
So my model is still enjoying Minshew Mania. 251, 2 touchdowns, 11 rush yards. Quarterback number 9. This is a great one. He could probably still pick him up on the waiver wires if you're looking for it. That 2 touchdowns, I want you to circle that number, and I want you to make sure you know it's 2, not 1.
Okay, I love it. That's great. What about Leonard Fournette? He's been able to lean on him a lot this year. Is that going to happen today?
Yes. Leonard Fournette, big Leonard Fournette projection in this one, probably of him having over 100 scrimmage yards. Actually went from something like 30 to 55 given all of the injuries. J.J. Watt being a big notable one there for Fournette even. So 101 scrimmage yards includes those 4 receptions. That's not 2 receptions, that's 4.
Okay, I like it. 4, yeah, because this Texans run D has been really good, so he'll have to get out in space there. DJ Chark, though, he's been a nice surprise this year.
Yes,
continue today.
So the touchdown there is not a guarantee. So we only counted a touchdown if it happens in more than 50% of the simulations. It does not happen in more than 50, but it does have 5 receptions flagged in the model as happening. That's more than 3, that's more than 4, and almost 50 receiving yards.
Okay, like it. So with Will Fuller out today.
Yes, Will Fuller's out, sorry.
Now, let's talk about your prediction for the game, because I'm sure that factors in a little bit here.
It sure does. So no Laremy Tunsil, no Will Fuller, no J.J. Watt, no Bradley Roby. This one's an interesting one. The model still has the Texans because of Deshaun Watson and DeAndre Hopkins. Those ability and their running back, their ability to be used, they're not really great fantasy options, running backs, but they're really good in pass protection and giving the opportunities to the wide receivers.
See, now I feel like I'm going to have to switch my pick. Now I'm going to be thinking about it a little bit more. Spoiler alert, I'm with MJD taking the Jags. Okay, Cynthia, thank you for your projections today. And guys, grab your remote and throw it in the trash can. Cancel your plans with Aunt Betty, because we're taking you all the way to kickoff at 9:30 Eastern. Game Day Live immediately after we're done with the post-game show here today. And then Game Day highlights and Game Day Prime wrapping up this Week 9 Sunday. Really, there's just no reason to leave the house at all.
Here I go! Coming up on NFL Game Day Kickoff, Michael Vick and Deshaun Watson discuss the art and craft of the dual-threat quarterback.
If they line up in man coverage one more time, I'm going to just forget about everything that's going on.
Plus, we go live to Wembley Stadium for the latest from Rich, Michael, Mooch, and Kurt. Next on NFL Game Day Kickoff, presented by McDonald's.